Hello everybody, my name is Gabriel Anthony Herrera and I'm from Racine, Wisconsin and I attend Racine Lutheran High School. I'll be applying for the Forward in Faith Lutheran Teaching Scholarship.
Share a personal story, moment, or experience which explains why you want to become a Lutheran school teacher.
For me personally, in my scholastic and school career, I've been very fortunate enough to have a bunch of wonderful and amazing teachers that have truly made an impact and inspired me as a person. But none stick out more than two teachers in particular, and that is my 8th grade history and social studies teacher, Mr. Struck, and then my current economics, government, and former AP US history teacher, Mr. Gassel. I'll talk about Mr. Struck first. Mr. Struck, to me, had 3 really great qualities, and none were bigger than his God-centered approach to the classroom. He was my history teacher, like I said, and he, no matter what the subject was, whether it was things like World War II and Adolf Hitler or slavery and what's wrong with that, he always somehow found a way to tie it all back to the Bible. And to me, that's something I really want to do in my classroom. I feel there's a lot we can learn from history, and there's a lot that we can learn from the Bible, obviously, because that's God's given word. If I can learn to tie those two together, I feel like I can really touch people. One of the other things he did is he always came with a positive attitude, and that goes along with the God-centered classroom. When you come with that positive attitude every day, it just lifts everyone's spirits, and school is not for everyone, and most teachers understand that. So when you have that positive attitude, whether the kids are paying attention in your class or not, they might just have and enjoy that class time and enjoy being in school, which is ultimately the goal. And then third, he taught me something that I consider one of my greatest life lessons, and that's to never take yourself too seriously. Growing up, I took myself very seriously. I hated when people laughed at me. I hated when I was made fun of or all that type of stuff. And during his class and during the entire 8th grade year, I really learned who I was as a person, and that being embarrassed and ashamed is sometimes part of the journey, and you have to learn to deal with that. And getting angry isn't always the way. There's a quote I know that says, like, embarrassment is an underexplored emotion. And to me, now that I'm older, I really like that quote. A lot of people don't like to be embarrassed, but it's part of life. And as soon as you learn to live with that and grow with that and not be scared of it, you become a better person. Now, to me, Mr. Gassel, he's always funny. He's always been funny in the entire time that I've had him. And like Mr. Struck with the positive attitude, when you come to class and it's funny, the kids who maybe don't pay attention or don't want to show up to school, they show up simply because you're brightening their days and you're bringing them up instead of adding something else onto the pile and making it worse. I also feel like Mr. Gassel really understands the material, and that's something I aim to do. He doesn't just teach from a PowerPoint, slideshow, or a packet. He walks around the classroom and he bounces off the walls. And that's something I aim to do because he teaches from the heart instead of just from a packet or from a textbook. When you truly know the material, every day is different. Not every day is the same, and you're not teaching the same thing to every class you have. But instead, everything changes because one thing might pop into your head that you remembered because of something that happened.
How has God equipped you in a special way to become a Lutheran school teacher?
Yeah, to me, God has given me a plethora of different qualities that I feel would make me a really great Lutheran school teacher. And one of those is the fact that I'm very personable. I feel I'm a truly easy person to talk to, and I get along with all different kinds of people, whether that be old, young, teacher, boss, whatever it may be. I feel like I get along with a lot of people. And because of that, and along with my GPA in high school, I had the opportunity to join a club called NHS, which stands for National Honor Society. And through NHS, I've been blessed and fortunate enough to have a bunch of volunteer opportunities that I can use to give back to the community. A couple of those include Brewers playoff games, Halo, which is a local homeless shelter, and Feed My Starving Children, which is an organization that packages food and rice to send to Africa. And I think because I'm personable in all those scenarios, whatever it may be that I'm doing, whether that's a Brewers playoff game, working concessions, and talking to all different sorts of people, Cubs or Brewers fans, or packaging food and working alongside people as a team, I feel like I'm a really good person to talk to, and I'm a really good leader in the fact that I can take charge and get things done or get people focused on tasks whenever they need to be.
How will your Lutheran classroom or approach be different than a teacher serving in a public school?
Yeah, I feel, to me, I really want to have a cross or maybe a picture of Jesus up in my classroom, and that, I feel, leaves or creates a door for the Holy Spirit. What I mean by that is, normally when kids are having rough times or rough couple months or a bad day, they just sink further and further into that. But if I have a cross up or a picture of Jesus up, what that does, it allows the Holy Spirit to work in them. And what I mean by that is, when they're having those rough days, maybe they just see that picture or that cross and they ask me a question, and it leads them to faith, or it leads them to just be curious. Kids are naturally curious, and to have things up that will make them curious, or when they're having a rough time like that, the Holy Spirit's going to work within them. And that, I feel, is my entryway into their lives, and to get to know my students more than just students, and to make myself personable again.
What is your greatest fear or challenge in wanting to become a Lutheran teacher? What do you plan to do about it?
Yeah, for me, my greatest fear is very simple, and that is the fact that I'm scared I might not be able to afford the education that I truly want in my heart. And what I mean by that is, Concordia University, Wisconsin is my dream school, but it is a little higher and it's a little harder for my family to afford. So with that comes other options and deciding between colleges or just trades and other job opportunities. So my greatest fear is not being able to afford it, but also just having to take a different path or a longer path, maybe something I don't enjoy, that's not really my passion. My passion is teaching and spreading God's love and positivity, and I feel being a teacher would really truly allow me to do that. Whereas if I go to another college that's public, I won't get that Christian or that God-loving environment necessarily. And you find that everywhere. Not saying it's only in Christian schools, but I feel like CUW does a really good job of incorporating that in most of the things they do. And what I plan to do about the financial struggle, so to speak, is that I really plan on applying for any and every scholarship that I can, whether that's local or online, essay or no essay. I really truly want CUW to be where I end up, and I'm going to take every precaution that I can to try and get that goal.
What is the one thing that you would want a future Lutheran school principal to know which separates or differentiates you from others?
Yeah, like I mentioned before, I would call myself a very personable person, someone that's very easy to approach and easy to talk to. And I think that comes from my very unique background. And that's, I'm Hispanic, I'm a minority, I didn't come from money necessarily, and with that comes knowing all different types of people, whether that's African Americans, Caucasians, Hispanics. I've met all different types of diverse people, whether that's, like I mentioned before, ethnicity, or that's old, rich, poor, young. I think the fact that I can talk and get along with all different types of people is a very good quality for a teacher, because you're going to have kids from all different types of backgrounds, and managing that is a really hard thing that teachers need to learn. And I feel my unique background really helps me in that scenario. Thank you for your time. And again, I'm Gabriel Anthony Herrera from Racine, Wisconsin.